to Board Game Animal. My name is Justin. At this point, 25th Century Games is really just drip feeding us mega doses of awesome Knizia games and really just enabling those of us with Knizia addictions to not be able to give it up. Well, we're hot off fulfillment of their last Knizia Ra-themed Kickstarter. We had the announcement they're bringing Tigris and Euphrates back to us, and now we have a striking lineup for the next round right now. Some 25th century Ian O'Toole takes on Ra the Dice Game and Rhinelander. And today we have the privilege of previewing, reviewing these versions, and telling you a little bit about them. Please note that everything you see here is most certainly a prototype and will definitely vary from the final product, but you'll get a good idea of what to expect. If you're unfamiliar with Ra the Dice Game, the first thing to note is this is not a brand new game. It is a new version of the 2009 classic dice game version of the legendary Ra. However, the 25th century version is going to come with some new surprises like a solo mode. But to that point, it's important to note that this is not a roll and write, which I make the point of saying to differentiate it from the other new game in this family, Ra and Write. Ultimately, you're rolling dice on your turn with multiple reroll and lock options, Yahtzee style, to collect symbols and apply them on the board. I really enjoy Ra the Dice Game. It is not, for me, as perfect or untouchable as Ra itself is. However, I think it's a great variant that delivers some of the Ra energy in a fun dice rolling time. I really like dice in games in general, and the implementation here with pretty straightforward components and it not being a roll and write. If you like some of the general scoring elements of Ra but want to add a dice element, in reality, a different sort of push your luck element to basic Ra, this will be right up your alley. Well, yes, everyone has a bunch of cubes in their color. Somehow, this does still feel like it has drastically less components than Ra and is just easier to pull out and manage. It's funny because even though this is Knizia iterating on his own design of Ra, it's still noticeably superior to many original dice games out there. It's a must-have for any collector of his games, or a definite need for fans of dice games, as the scoring here has that impeccable Knizia charm. Now let's talk Rhinelander. In the grand scheme of things, I'd say that there are a lot of games that I personally enjoy more than the general consensus does. And a lot of hidden gems or underrated classics, even in Knizia's catalog alone, that I personally think are fantastic. And for me, Rhinelander is one of the peak examples of all of the above. It genuinely surprises me that this isn't talked about in the same conversations as Tigris and Euphrates, Ra, Amun-Re, etc. This game delivers on a certain set of vibes that make it really stand out. Between the theming and somewhat traditional board game look it holds on the table, it has a timeless quality that really allows for Knizia's ingenuity to shine through. This is an area majority game where you're managing the cards in your hand to gain control of various areas on the board. Very familiar, but there are a ton of options whether to expand or whether to diversify. The richness of the game comes from the fact that most in-game scoring comes from being displaced by other players, which means to benefit yourself, you'll have to benefit your opponents as well. It's just a delightful experience that improves from more interaction, but is always interesting regardless, as the threat of displacement creates just as much interesting dynamic and tension around the table. And so I think Rhinelander is phenomenal just in and of itself. But new here is expansion content that spices the game up with a few slick modules. And for me, it falls into that category of not everyone's going to feel that this is necessary, but once you include them, you're going to be surprised at just how much richness they add to an already really good foundation. And just in general, this new version from 25th Century looks gorgeous, and the fact that there's new elements just makes the whole deal sweeter. Now, I don't want to spoil our imminently close Top 100 Knizia Games video, but trust me when I tell you, this one is incredibly high. Rhinelander is one of my all-time favorite Knizia games. I've always wondered why it isn't in the same bona fide classic conversations as T&E and Ra and etc. Now through an awesome production from 20th Century with new content to boot, I'm positive it finally will get the notoriety it deserves. Also in this Kickstarter is a non-Knizia game, the new edition of the 6 of 8, a trick taker from Carol Legros. Not only was the original edition one of my favorite games of 2024, it's one of my all-time favorite trick takers, period. In a world currently chock full of trick-taking games and really good ones at that, the 6 of VIII is one of the best and delivers clever twists in the genre without losing its sense of traditional allure. You may be coming for Knizia in this Kickstarter, but do not pass up on this gem. So yeah, just a really awesome project altogether. There's some phenomenal games, plus some other imports coming from 25th Century. And I want to give a huge thank you to them for allowing us to be part of the preview process and to mess around with these prototypes a bit. I am so excited that all of these games will become more readily available for folks to enjoy.
It's a modern classic.
Man, I really just, I can't get over the rating for Rhinelander on BGG, though.
Average 6-7? Give me a break.
Is that a 6-7 joke?
What do you think?
But yeah, Rhinelander, it's super underrated.
You're darn right it's underrated.
But what about Rod the Dice game? It's really good too.
Yeah, all of the WoW games are good.
Anyway, again, huge thanks to 25th Century. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. Make sure to check out the Kickstarter. The description is going to be down below. And in the meantime, don't forget to play board games like an animal.